April 15, 1912. That unsinkable ship, a marvel of engineering, vanishes into the icy depths of the Atlantic. 1,500 lives lost. A tragedy that shook the world. But what if everything you were told in the history books was a lie? What if the ship at the bottom of the ocean isn't actually the Titanic? What if it was a cold, calculated insurance fraud that went horribly wrong? Today, we dive deep into the evidence, the conspiracies, and the haunting truths behind the world's most famous shipwreck. Was it an iceberg, or a masterfully executed heist? The official narrative is simple: the Titanic, owned by the White Star Line, hit an iceberg at 11:40 p.m. The hull was punctured, and within 3 hours, she was gone. For decades, this was the undisputed truth. But as the years passed, investigators started noticing things that didn't add up. Why were there so few lifeboats? Why was the ship's captain, Edward Smith, ignoring multiple iceberg warnings? And most importantly, what was happening behind closed doors at the White Star Line offices just weeks before the maiden voyage? Here is where things get dark. Meet the RMS Olympic, the Titanic's nearly identical sister ship. A year before the Titanic sailed, the Olympic was involved in a massive collision with a British warship. The damage was catastrophic, and the insurance company refused to pay. The White Star Line was facing financial ruin. The theory: to save the company, they switched the two ships. They patched up the damaged Olympic, renamed it Titanic, and planned a controlled sinking in the middle of the ocean to collect the massive insurance money. The evidence. The windows, old photos show the Olympic had 16 portholes, while the Titanic had 14. But on the day of the maiden voyage, the ship suddenly had 16. The inspections: why were some of the most powerful men in the world, like J.P. Morgan, canceling their tickets at the very last minute? Morgan claimed he was sick, yet he was spotted in France just days later, perfectly healthy. But wait. Before we call it a scam, let's look at the facts. Could you really switch two massive ocean liners in a busy shipyard without thousands of workers noticing? Historians argue that the switch theory is impossible. When the wreck was discovered in 1985, investigators found something crucial. Every piece of machinery on a ship is stamped with a hull number. The Titanic's number was 401. The Olympic's was 400. On the ocean floor, explorers have found propellers and parts clearly stamped with the number 401. If it was the Olympic, we would see 400. Also, the insurance payout for the Titanic was only $5 million, nowhere near enough to cover the loss of the ship and the reputation of the company. So, was it a tragic accident or a sinister plot? While the switch theory has some fascinating coincidences, the physical evidence at the bottom of the Atlantic points to the real Titanic. However, mystery still remains. Why was the Californian, a nearby ship, so unresponsive to the Titanic's distress flares? Why were the binoculars for the lookouts locked away in a cabinet? The Titanic didn't just sink, it took secrets to the grave that we may never fully uncover. Perhaps the real tragedy isn't the conspiracy, but the series of human errors that led to so much heartbreak. What do you believe? Was it a cold-blooded insurance scam, or just a series of unfortunate events? Let us know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Heart's Ledger for more untold stories. Until next time.